Hello, my name is Desiree Shaw and I am a psychotherapist, and my aim is to change the world one thought at a time. I'm going to open up the topic of mean women to women. Women mean to women. Okay, obviously I'm a woman, as you can tell, but we live in a society right now where we don't just tell, so I'm actually expressing I am a woman. And as a woman, I experience day to day as a woman. And I'm going to be talking about mean women to women. Why is it so commonly understood and represented that women are mean to each other? Something I've often encountered and wondered for myself. Now, unfortunately, we can all be tarnished with the same brush. Happens so often. And women who are actually friendly, loving and caring often go dismissed or not thought about purely because of, as a whole, women are deemed as being bitches, being quite catty, being packed mentality and threatened by other women who are different to them. So it's quite difficult for us as women, particularly in the workplace and in families and in social settings, to get along, and it's often seemed that we will definitely not get along, and then when we address certain issues we are sometimes dismissed because it's in our makeup as women to behave like this. I'm going to explain why we do what we do. Why do women treat each other the way that we do? Why is it so common to see gangs of women against one woman who is different to them? Why do we do that? Well, this is culture. So often in a culture, we were raised to believe that women have a particular way of being, and if a woman seems to be different, then she's wrong. And we have been taught to discuss that woman and chastise or despise this different type of woman. So culture is a massive part of it. Right, and also how we're raised to believe women should be. Ethnicity. Different ethnic groups treat different women differently and treat women differently. That has a big part to play in the way that we treat each other as women. And upbringing, which is the ultimate crucial factor of why we do what we do. So in these areas, we learn how to treat women. Overall, encompassing all of that is environment, where you live, what is going on in the environment. All of this have an impact on how we learn how to treat each other. So why is it we as in women, why do we treat each other so negatively? Why is it so understood that we are so negative to each other? I'm going to tell you. What I failed to mention was religion. Religion has a massive part to play in how we treat women as women. I was raised in a church and women were seen as bad. It's all Eve's fault. That bloody Eve. She ate the apple and she made it bad for all of us. Because of her, we got childbirth problems, we've pain, we've got all kinds of menstruation, we're bitchy and we're catty and we enticed Adam to bite the apple. Bad Eve. The poison is in the cookies. So we learn how to treat women from the closest woman to us, which is our mum. So whoever raised us, our caregivers, how they treated women, our interpretation of that was reflected onto how we treat other women. And because women are so badly treated throughout the centuries, the poisons get spread further and further down the line. So when a woman sees another woman who is different to them or poses some imbalance, we have a problem with somebody being different, and we have a problem with somebody being comfortable. Something I experience. Now, not all women are this way. I have some wonderful female friends who are not catty, not bitchy, and don't talk about other women. Here's the problem. We treat women the way that we treat and think about ourselves behind closed doors. So depending on what you think of yourself, depending on the fear you have about yourself, as a woman, that will be projected to another woman. And if you don't like yourself that much, and you see another woman who might like herself a little bit more than you think you do, well, what can happen as a woman is we like to spread that feeling of doubt. We like to put some shade, and we enjoy watching that woman crumble in order to make ourselves feel better, because of how we were taught how to treat each other by our caregivers. If our mothers don't have comfortable relationships with women, we tend to not have comfortable relationships with our sisters. And then we don't have comfortable relationships with our friends. And if you're an only child, and you are the only woman in the family besides your mum, then relationships with women is going to be difficult if your mum has a difficult relationship with women. Now, not all women have difficult relationships with each other. That's a myth which we perpetuate based on our own anxiety and self-esteem issues, because we do have them, because we're only human, we're flawed. It's common for women to feel threatened by women who are comfortable and confident with themselves and don't need to be validated or be a part of a pact. When we find that we have to be a part of a pact and we can only act accordingly to what the pact decides, it's because we're frightened to be alone. And if you can't stand alone, you're uncomfortable with yourself. Many women who participate in pact mentality behaviours amongst friendships need to tear down, disrespect and degrade another woman. When a woman has another woman's name in her mouth on a continued basis, constantly tearing them down or poking shade or highlighting their faults, that person does have a problem with themselves. I was in a situation recently where somebody instructed me to do something to improve a particular body part. I looked at this person and I thought, how dare you try to make me feel inferior or uncomfortable about myself? Not only that, I'd never looked at this woman as having any flaws, but at that moment in time, I realised how flawed she actually was. And how I was not going to tell her that she was flawed, because that was not my business. She could be comfortable with who she is. I don't need to tell her what she needs to do. Just because she's been so rude and disrespectful to me doesn't mean I have to do it back. But what I did do, I informed her, I'm absolutely fine and comfortable as I am, without retaliating to telling her and poking out things that I thought she should do in order to prove herself. She was really surprised by my reaction, and she didn't know what to say. We do this because we don't feel comfortable with ourselves, and when we see somebody who is comfortable, it just highlights how uncomfortable we are. And as women, let's face it, we are so uncomfortable because every day we're taught that we're not good enough. Our hair isn't this way, our eyes aren't this way, our body isn't that way. So when we see somebody who seems to have some of those things, or seems to be comfortable with the fact that their body isn't that way, it then makes us look inward and become more focused on our own inadequacies. And that's the reason why we do what we do. It's only about us. When we recognise that this mean woman, mean girl situation that we often find ourselves in as women, in the workplace, in social settings, within our families, is all about our own inadequacies, about ourselves as women, because we have yet to really celebrate ourselves. We don't even know who we are. That's why many of us wear something on top of our heads that doesn't belong to us, because we don't know who we are. So we try to make ourselves as appropriate, as approved of, as accepted of by others. So when we see somebody who approves themselves, we are so uncomfortable. And that's why we're mean. That's why we're mean to each other. Because deep down, we have so much uncertainty and so much discomfort we project it outwards. And this happens every single day. But we can stop it. I'll tell you how. There is such thing as sisterhood. There is such thing as togetherness. There is such thing as friendship, and it does happen. And the people don't have to be like you in order to be your friends. But there is a wonderful, beautiful goddess inside every single one of us women, if we knew how to unleash it and evoke our power from within, because we are powerful. The problem is, we don't even know what our power is capable of, and we don't know how much of a goddess that we are, because we're so busy trying to fit into the stereotypes and the outlines bestowed to us by society, often by men, but let's not blame men, mostly ourselves. And because of that discomfort and our inability to be comfortable with ourselves, we have lost the idea that we're absolutely wonderful and perfect as we are. And we don't need to put things on top of our heads that don't belong to our scalp in order to feel beautiful. And we don't have to stick things on our eyes. And we don't have to plaster ourselves in a bucket full of makeup. And we don't have to dress like a Barbie doll. We can be comfortably ourselves. And we don't have to poke at others because we're threatened by our own inadequacies. If we simply just unleash the goddess within. Sounds easy. It's not, but it can be done. And I'm going to tell you how, but not in this video.